Hello, welcome to our channel. In this video, we will look at how we can add, subtract, multiply, and divide complex numbers. So adding, subtracting, and multiplying of any two complex numbers can be done in the usual way because they follow all the rules of arithmetic of real numbers like commutative laws, associative laws, and distributive laws. So we will look at some examples next. So we have these two complex numbers, 2 plus 3i and 4 minus 10i that we want to add. So we can basically just add the like terms. 2 and 4 are the real parts here, which are like terms here. So it will be 6. We have 3i minus 10i, so negative 7i. So this is the sum of these two complex numbers. Next, we want to look at the difference of these two complex numbers. We have 2 plus 3i minus 4 minus 10i. So first we want to write this as 2 plus 3i minus 4 plus 10i when we distribute that negative sign. Then we can combine the like terms. So 2 minus 4 is negative 2. 3i plus 10i is 13i. So this is the difference between these two complex numbers. We are multiplying this complex number by 1/2 this time. So we can simply distribute this 1/2 to both of these terms here, 2 and 3i. So 1/2 times 2 is 1/2 times 2 plus, next we have 1/2 times 3i. So this is 1/2 times 2 is 1 plus, and that part is 3/2i. Next, we want to multiply these two complex numbers. So we have 3 plus 2i times 4 minus 10i. So we can just multiply both of these here with these two, and then we can multiply both of those in the second term with that 3i. So 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times negative 10i is negative 20i. Next, 3i times 4 is 12i, and 3i times negative 10i. So 3 times negative 10 is 30, and I times I is I squared. So this is the product between these two complex numbers. And of course, we can simplify this little further because here we have 8, and we can combine these two. Negative 20i plus 12i will be negative 8i. This is like negative 20 apples plus 12 apples. So negative 8 apples minus 30, and I square is simply negative 1. I square is simply negative 1. So we get 8 minus 8i plus 30 over here. So 8 plus 30 is 38 minus 8i. So this is the product between these two complex numbers. Here we want to square this complex number, negative 6 plus 7i. And for that, we can simply write 2 copies of this complex number and then multiply. So basically, you have negative 6 times negative 6 and negative 6 times 7i. And then you want to do 7i times negative 6, 7i times 7i. So negative 6 times negative 6 is positive 36. Negative 6 times 7i is negative 42i. 7i times negative 6 is negative 42i again. 7i times 7i is 49i squared because 7 times 7 is 49, and I times I is I squared. We can simplify this little further. Negative 42i minus 42i is negative 84i. And then we have 49 times negative 1 over here. I square is negative 1. So this becomes 36 minus 84i minus 49. So we can combine this 36 and negative 49. So that will be negative 13 minus 84i as it is. So this is the square of negative 6 plus 7i. So we are done with this example. Now let's look at how we can divide. So to divide, we need to use this trick. So basically we want to multiply the top and bottom by conjugate of what we have in the denominator. That means in this case, we are dividing 2 plus 3i by 4 minus 10i. What we want to do is we want to multiply top and bottom by the conjugate of denominator, which will be 4 plus 10i. So multiply top by 4 plus 10i and multiply the denominator by 4 plus 10i. So it will look like, now we can do the usual multiplication on the top and in the denominator. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 10i is 20i. 3i times 4 is 12i. 3i times 10i is 30i squared. Because 3 times 10 is 30 and I times I is I squared. And we can do the same thing in the denominator. So 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 10i is 40i. We have negative 10i times 4 is negative 40i. And then we have negative 10i times 10i. So negative 10 times 10 is negative 100. And I times I is I squared. We have this. So on the top we have 8. 20 plus 12 is 32i. 20i plus 12i is 32i. Plus 30 times I squared is negative 1. In the denominator, we have 16. 40i minus 40i, that goes away. And we are left with negative 100 times negative 1. I squared is negative 1. So that gives us 8 minus 30 on the top, which is negative 22 plus 32i. And in the denominator, we have 16 plus 100 because we have negative 100 times negative 1. So we get 116 in the denominator. So this we can write as negative 22 by 116 plus 32 by 116i. Looks like we can reduce both of these fractions. If you multiply the top and bottom by 2 in the first case, we get 11 here, and here we get 58. So 11 by 58. And we have this minus negative as it is in the front. Now for the second part, we can divide top and bottom by 4. When you divide 32 by 4, we get 8. And when you divide 116 by 4, we get 29. So we get 8 over 29i. So this is the complex number we get when we divide 2 plus 3i by 4 minus 10i. Here is the next example. We want to divide 2 by 3 minus 4i. Again, we can use the same trick. So we just need to multiply top and bottom by conjugate of 3 minus 4i, which will be 3 plus 4i. So we simply multiply top and bottom by 3 plus 4i. Let's see what that gives us. On the top, we have 2 times 3, which is 6, and 2 times 4i, which is 8i. In the denominator, we have 3 times 3, which is 9, 3 times 4i, which is 12i, negative 4i times 3, which is negative 12i, and negative 4i times 4i is negative 16i squared, because negative 4 times 4 is negative 16, and I times I, we can simply write that as I squared. So on the top, we have 6 plus 8i as it is, divide by 9, 12i minus 12i, that goes away, minus 16, I squared is negative 1. So on the top, we still have 6 plus 8i as it is. In the denominator, we have 9 minus 16 times negative 1. So 9 plus 16, which is 25. So this becomes 6 by 25 plus 8 by 25i. Here is the next example. We want to find I over negative 2 plus 3i. Again, the same idea. We just multiply top and bottom by the conjugate of the denominator. The conjugate of negative 2 plus 3i is negative 2 minus 3i. So to get the conjugate, we just negate the complex part. Negative 2 minus 3i. So just multiply top and bottom by negative 2 minus 3i. On the top, that will give us I times negative 2, which is negative 2i, and I times negative 3i, which is negative 3i squared. In the denominator, we have negative 2 times negative 2, which is 4, negative 2 times negative 3i, which is positive 6i, 3i times negative 2, which is negative 6i, and 3i times negative 3i, which is negative 9i squared. Now the rest is just simplifying. So on the top, we have negative 2i minus 3 times negative 1, because I square is negative 1. 4, 6i minus 6i, that goes away, minus 9 times negative 1. So this becomes negative 2i plus 3, because we have negative 3 times negative 1, divide by 4 plus 9 here, which is 13. So this we can write as negative 2 by 13i plus 3 by 13. Now the problem wants us to write in a plus bi form, so we can write the real part first. 3 by 13 minus 2 by 13i. So that is the quotient of these two complex numbers, I and negative 2 plus 3i. Here is the next example. Again, the same idea. We just multiply top and bottom by the conjugate of the denominator, which is 1 plus I in this case. So just multiply top and bottom by 1 plus I, and let's see what that gives us. So square root of 7 times 1 is square root of 7. Square root of 7 times I is square root of 7i. 2i times 1 is 2i, and 2i times I is 2i squared. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times I is I. Negative I times 1 is negative I. Negative I times I is negative I squared. Now the rest is just simplifying. So on the top, we have square root of 7. Square root of 7, I plus 2i. So this we can write as square root of 7 plus 2i plus 2 times negative 1, because I square is negative 1. And in the denominator, we have 1, I minus I, that goes away, minus I square is negative 1. So this becomes square root of 7 minus 2 plus square root of 7 plus 2i. Everything divided by 2. 1 minus minus 1 is 2. So we can write this as square root of 7 minus 2 divided by 2 plus square root of 7 plus 2 divided by 2i. So this is the quotient of these two complex numbers, square root of 7 plus 2i over 1 minus I. So this is all we have put together in this video. Hope it was helpful. Please subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and thank you for watching.